Hey folks, Ray Gano here. Thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. We are live at Dallas Hear the Watchman 2018. And I'm really excited today. I have got Jen Campbell, and Jen Campbell is kind of a Facebook friend of ours. And we've known each other for a while. In fact, how we learned about each other and knew each other is we kind of had a little bit of a headbutting on Facebook. And you know, Jen goes, "Oh yeah, you're right," and I apologize. She apologized. And it's just been one thing after another, and great friendship building out of it and stuff. So it's been a wonderful time. Jen, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I hear you are writing a new book.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, I'm still in the process of writing, but God started speaking to me, I guess, when I started fasting from the world and spending time away. I was broken after a divorce and spent some time with God alone for 4 years, and didn't know the Holy Spirit till 5 years ago. And as God started like revealing things to me, he kept me up for about 1.5 years about the temple. And so he kept telling me, like, there were things that I would get woke up about. The first thing was he would take me to the trial with the purple robe.
Yeah.
And so how he was sentenced in a purple robe, and how the purple robe has been wearing a purple robe ever since. So because he wants to be like the Most High. I really truly believe that. So is mimicking or mocking God.
Wow.
And that was a huge revelation. And then he started waking me up more and more and more about spiritual adultery in Jeremiah 3. Then he took me to the big one was when he took me to Jesus was flipping the tables over in the temple. And he said, this is supposed to be a house of prayer, not a den of thieves and robbers. Yeah. And so he was showing me that it had become so much idolatry. And as Christians and Jews alike are trying to worship this temple and they're trying to get it built, it was more about idolatry. He was taking me to the face of the coin with Caesar's picture on it, and showing me that it was about idolatry, that they had worshipped a man and not him, and that they had rejected the Messiah. And so I didn't understand what was going on. I was getting all of these things about the temple. And so I guess there was a huge, I'm trying to think when this really transitioned. I just kept going, God, what are you trying to say to me? What are you trying to say to me? And I got to where I was spending so much time alone with him, just in deep, deep anguish, because I was so heartbroken for the backslidden church. And I spent so much time on my knees just crying out, God, what can I do? And I remember waking up and praying for Israel twice when Netanyahu was going through all this stuff, and my burden became the church. Yeah. And God started to open my eyes about some things, and one of the things that he opened my eyes about that was huge, and this was about 6 months ago. I see a line drawn, and we've gone out and we've preached the gospel, but there's two components to it. We preached the gospel, but we didn't teach the transformation. Yeah. So now we have a lot of Christians that are living in the 6 churches, and they're not over on the Church of Philadelphia. And I believe, and this could be just me, I don't want to give God, I don't want to get in trouble for this one, but I honestly believe the fullness of the Gentiles has either almost been reached or it has been reached. Interesting. Because the blinders are coming off the Jews. And we have a friend who's in Israel, one for Israel ministry, and he is talking about it all the time, how the blinders are coming off with the rabbis and and all of them over there. And I believe that fullness has been reached. That's why their blinders are coming off. And because of this, and everybody's like, well, Jennifer, this can't happen, because if that was the case, then we would already be out of here. I said, I went into just some deep, deep prayer with God and fasting, and I asked him about this, and I started seeing these pots. I have these flower pots on my porch, and the seeds, I planted the seeds, and I'm like, Terrence, they're not growing. Why aren't they growing? And they're not getting daylight, for one thing. I mean, they're like buried under the dirt, right? And he said, that is such a great analogy, because I was like, that's exactly what's going on. And I kept seeing these clay pots. We have planted the seed with the gospel all over the world, but we didn't water and fertilize them. Yeah, exactly. They're not growing. Yeah. And so there's no fruit. Yeah. They're not living. They're not in the living water. You know what? I'm not planted in the living water. So it's, we have broken. So I had been, I guess, about a month ago, a huge revelation came to me. I've read Revelation, Romans 11 over and over and over again. I was devastated when I realized that we had not made the Jews jealous, and we were supposed to make the Jews jealous. And I just went to my knees and just deep agony. I thought, wow, we have really failed the Jews and God's people, because we didn't represent Jesus the way we should have represented him. And I believe that God is stripping away idols. I believe that he is stripping away vanity. I believe all of the things that we look at as idols. He's like, you can't take your jewelry, you can't take your makeup, you can't take your hair color into the kingdom. You have to be pure and holy. So my book has become about the temple. You know, as man is worshiping this temple being built, we have forgotten that the temple lives in us. And we have to tear down that temple. It is filthy. And he is not coming back for a filthy bride. And so we have to rebuild this temple in holiness and his holiness, and clothe ourselves in the robe of righteousness without spot or blemish, because it is. So here was the thing that blew my mind is Jesus said, go and make disciples. We made Christians. We didn't make disciples.
Exactly.
And that's a huge thing the church is missing. And I'm like, so, you know, I'm asking God, what can I do? What can I do? And the thing is, I feel like we are supposed to clean up this mess now. And I remember going to God and saying, God, nobody's going to want to hear these messages that you're giving me. Like, how am I supposed to tell people that, you know, there's some pretty bad stuff that you've kind of revealed to me, you know? And God said, they don't want to hear it now, but there's going to come a time and a place where they're going to be open to hearing the truth. And I think that time is coming. And I think that the church will be ready to hear the truth. Something's going to happen that's going to bring them to us. All of those seeds that have been planted, millions. I kept seeing millions of pots. And so what people don't understand is I kept having a vision last weekend that it was hard to eat dinner. It just broke me. I kept seeing two roads of Jew and Gentile coming together, which he said we would be one in the end of days. And then on the other side, I saw the wicked. And so, I mean, there's clearly a choice to be made. We know that. But if they rebuild that temple, I truly believe that the Gentiles are going to be accountable just as much as the Jews are going to be accountable for worshiping man and not God.
Interesting.
And they're going to the Romans or they're going to Trump to help them build this temple, and they're not going to Yeshua. And so I think that there's going to be some huge accountability there, you know, and I feel like we've had a choice. God's like, you're going to do it. Are you going to do it my way? Or are you going to do it Satan's way? Because prophecy is going to unfold, but you're kind of seeing that it's being unfolding, but it's not doing like what religion has taught us, right? So God's kind of showing us what's going to happen. So I think that, you know, I'm just like, oh my gosh, we got to go tell the Jews not to build the temple. You know, I just really believe the temple is going to be a bad thing. I really do. And so I think we're going to be accountable for it as well. And maybe I'm wrong, but I sure hope I'm wrong. But the temple, about purifying and holiness and being here this weekend, I've been able to get my cover for my book. I know what it looks like. And I'm excited about it. I'm just ready to go home and finish it and get it out there. So I hope the bride of Christ has to be ready.
What's the name of the title?
What's
the name of the book?
Don't know yet. Actually, he gave me pieces of it. I just don't have it all yet. So I'm still waiting. But God, I'm an editor and writer, and because of that, I want to edit everything I write. So I have to be really careful. It takes me twice as long to write. But I'm learning to let go and let God. So it's I'm ready. I'm excited to see what God's going to do with it, and I hope that that's going to help some of these seeds bloom. I hope that it's going to wake some of the church up and bring them back over. So
you talked about something that was rather interesting, the age of the Gentile, or the where do you, because I actually wrote an article on that, and very in depth. And if you read the chronologic family order in Luke, was it Luke or Matthew? I forget now. Too much. My brain
I know,
is
I'm fried too. I'm afraid you're going to ask me something complicated.
No. But what was interesting is that it's Matthew. He uses a 70-year generation. And we see that also talked about
Psalms too.
In Psalms. Exactly. And so you run the math and everything, and you come to 2018. Wow. 2018 is the end of the age, or the end of the when the Gentile should be full.
Wow.
And so I think it's very interesting.
I did not know that.
It's something interesting that you're bringing up here, because you know, again, end of the age. I'm not, folks. I am not saying, oh, it's going to be the tribulation start or the rapture.
No. We're not doing any of that.
None of that, because we don't. Because a lot of people go, well, okay, you're talking about the end of the age. Well, what's going to happen next? And I honestly say, I don't know.
We don't know.
But it's the end of the age.
Yes.
And the interesting thing I find, and you're talking about this, I'm very intrigued about your book idea.
Thank you.
Is it the end of the age where, because look at the Christian church today, on how fluffyized or sugar-coated, and I mean, we call ourselves a remnant.
Right.
And everything, but you know, there's a lot of Christians out there, almost Christians in name only.
Yes.
And so it's funny. Has that fullness come? And now has the church become so
oblivious,
nominalized?
Yeah.
I mean, and everything. And are we going to see then the Jews come to fruition?
I think that it's happening more than we think it is, and I've got a lot of people that are over there that are telling me about this, and how the rabbis are even like, just don't tell anybody, but we believe in Yeshua.
Well,
you know,
look at Rabbi Zeb today.
Yes,
my goodness, what a powerful message! It was incredible. But so it's an interest. I'm looking forward to when you're having your book come out and everything. I want to read it.
I don't have all the answers, but I know that He's just. You know, it's hard. People are like, what makes you so special? I'm like, I'm not special, believe me. All I've done has been broken and humbled before the Lord. And I'm not one of these people who is always like, you know, God, I need this gift. God, I want this gift. I'm literally just so broken and humbled before the Lord that I'm like, I'm just so in love with you, Jesus. And I'm so in love with you, Holy Spirit. And I just want to spend all of my time with you, to the point that people are telling me, you're so heavenly minded, you're earthly good.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
And it's hard. I mean, I felt so insulted at first, and I'm like, well, that's kind of a compliment now, but now I can't get back in the world. Yeah. So I've got to do something with all these things that God teaches me, because I allow the Holy Spirit to become my teacher. I asked him to erase all religion and become my teacher. And recently, so right before the flood started in Houston, I heard a time of purification, by choice or by force, you know, and I was like, what do you mean, God? What do you mean? And it was like, you know what? Idols are coming down. You know what? I've given you plenty of time. I've given my people plenty of time. And the church has gotten fat, lazy, and complacent. And those were his words. And I said that on Facebook, and somebody said, God would never call us fat. I said, have you read your Bible?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you just go, you know, the church has gotten fat, lazy, and complacent. And it's been confirmed for me a lot this weekend, because it's funny, every speaker that we've heard, well, not every, but Josh, you know, Josh and Michael Lake especially, and Michael got literal confirmation for everything God's telling me. And I'm just like, you know what? God speaks in one accord to his people. And we're all hearing the same thing. Yeah. They might come out differently, but we're all hearing the same thing.
And that's a good lead and good segue, because I was going to ask you, what do you think about, is this your first Watchman conference?
Yes, we went to True Legends, but this is our first Watchman conference, which I'm so amazed.
Yeah, what do you think about this conference? What has been your favorite speaker? What are some of these nuggets of information that have like popped out in 3D Technicolor to you? And
right. You know, I love the fact that we can serve. Yeah. And we go to church, we go to a big church, and we're always asking, you know, what can we do? What can we do to serve the Lord? And it's so political, and there's so much red tape that I feel invisible. I've been there for 3 years, and I feel so invisible. And as a watchman, you sit back and you watch, but at the end of the day, you're just like, I go get fed and I go home. Yeah. You know, I've got friends, but it's tough. It's tough because they're not all awake. I feel like we found our people here. Yeah. You know, and we've met a lot of people we thought, oh, everybody's going to be a watchman. Not necessarily. There's a lot of people that are just like, I want to know the truth. Yeah. We met some people who were like, you know, I was watching Tom Horn and got kind of interested, and then I found out I said, oh, you went down the rabbit hole. You're not coming out. Just let you know, you know. So once you go in, but there's so much information, and those people, we've talked to them since, they're like, wow, like they're just getting fed, they're hungry. Yeah. And so we've got to get people hungry for the Lord, and it's going to take them. It's hard to realize you woke up and everything you've been taught is a lie.
Lie, exactly.
Yeah. So it's
a trip.
And I'm looking at the
red pill, blue pill.
Yes, right. And I look at the friendships that we've made here, and y'all are so open and just real. And I think that's what matters, is that y'all are approachable. You're real. You talk to us, and you know, we always see you guys as like the people on YouTube, you know, and I have a YouTube channel. I can't get it to go off, get taken off. I don't know what it is, but people don't want the hardcore message, you know, and I kind of went in like Peter, I'm going to cut the ear of the soldier, you know, but it's like, so God's kind of tamed me down. He's been teaching me how to love his people, because I literally felt like Jonah. I was so angry with their sin, I didn't know how to love them. Yeah. And so God tried to teach me how to love his people through his eyes, and that's kind of where I've been. And I'm like, now the body of Christ has to come together, and we have to work together, because it's not going to work anymore.
Exactly. I mean, one of the things that I take away from these conferences all the time is I come to the realization that I'm not crazy after all.
Right.
And that it is, and there is a spirit here. I mean, you and I never met.
Right,
and you've never met Tracy before. We've never met Terrence before, and everything like that. And yet, the first moments we meet each, oh, hey, Jen. Oh,
it's a Texas thing. No.
Yeah, but that's a Texas thing too. Yeah. But there is a unity in the spirit here that is very hard to explain. And you just feel like you've known each other for a bazillion years.
It's a divine encounter, and it's literally a family.
Yeah.
God has really been trying to teach me how to, I guess the last couple of years, I told Terrence this, I go, you're not going to believe this. And he goes, what? And I go, I see my brothers as brothers. Like, I don't see them as like, I don't look at men anymore and go, oh, who's hot? I don't have any of that anymore. God has literally removed it from me. It's almost like a family thing. It's like he's trying to teach me what the kingdom's going to look like. And I see brothers and sisters. And I haven't trusted men or women for a long, long time. And I literally, especially women, and God's allowing me to have women in my life and showing me that I can love them and I can trust them. And it is so beautiful because a lot of women have been hurt. We've been hurt by other women. And so just allowing them to come in and speak life into me and cover me. I get a lot of spiritual attacks.
Yeah.
And we were in the meeting earlier, and I said, my chest is hurting. I'm getting attacked. Like, I know when my chest starts hurting or I start coughing, that is the enemy.
Yeah.
And we left here last night after Russ Dizdar, and I coughed and coughed. And, I pray I'm fine. I just take back the authority, right? So I cannot believe how many people here are not aware of the authority and power that they have.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sad. Yeah. It's really sad.
And that's something I'm going to be talking about also on my thing is the authority, and then talking about the deliverance and dealing with the demons that's within you or oppressing you and things.
Which we love your book, and like we said, we gave it away last night. We're like, here, this person needed it, so
we'll get you another copy.
We just really liked it. We really enjoyed it. So, I want to give a shout out. Hello, go get Ray's book. Can you get it on Amazon?
Yes, you can. It's on Amazon right now. But you can order it from me, and I'll autograph it for you. But you can also get it on Amazon and stuff. I'm planning, and it was one of the things that you said, that Tracy really kind of chimed in also, is like, you should do some certification or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Tracy going, yeah, Ray, you should listen to Jen. That's awesome. She's and we were talking about that last night.
Oh, wow.
And so I may explore doing some sort of certification, not for the certification purposes, but really anchoring and cementing the information so that people are properly equipped, properly, have the tools, know the tools, and can truly then take that and pass it on. Absolutely.
And I was, by the way, I was drowning in demons. I had Jezebel, Ahab, and Leviathan in me. And only God knows what else. But it took me being so broken and losing my family and my home. And my ex-husband brought her home. That's why I say you brought Jezebel home. But I was into New Age stuff. Yeah. I was into crystals and astrology. And I was channeling angels. They were just the wrong ones. Oh, yeah. And so I brought the enemy into our home, too. And so, God has taught me a lot about, and unfortunately, in divorce, we're still paying consequences for divorce. Our kids, we see our kids so broken, and I don't know if those consequences ever really go away because they're our own free will, right? And I look back now and I think, where I made my mistake is I didn't pray for my husband. I didn't have faith that God was going to restore that family and that marriage, and he was going to end up being a man of God. And I should have put faith in God, and I didn't do that. And so, we've accepted this whole me mentality, and that's opened the door for demons. And we've got to just shut it down as the church and the body of Christ. And we go to church and we're like, oh, God is so good. And we go home. And we don't realize that we're not living in holiness. Exactly. And you know what, the thing that's so beautiful about what God has taught me is we can do all things through Christ. And when he said all things, he meant live a sin-free life. We can live in a repentance lifestyle and be set free. Yeah, we can. And Jesus will set us free. We've just got to seek him in all things. And so I encourage those people that are just like, what am I going to do? I would love to see a worldwide deliverance of just being able. I think there's going to come a time we're going to cast out demons and we're going to do healing like never before. The fire's coming down. But we got to purify the church first. It's filthy. Totally. And Ray is doing a cookbook with Tracy, and she's amazing. So you guys be ready for this keto cookbook. Is it a cookbook or is it a keto? It's
going to be a keto diet
beginning
book.
Diet book. A lifestyle.
Thank you.
Not diet.
Let's see what else here. I'll edit all this stuff
including that. Yeah. Yeah.
So we talked about
The demons. Do you want to talk about Jezebel or Ahab or Leviathan? Deliverance?
No. So again, we talked about the conference and everything, and I kind of asked you, are any of the speakers, what was your favorite speaker?
Oh, yes.
What was maybe some nugget of information that really stood out so far? I mean, you still have another day of speakers worth, but of the speakers we've seen so far, what have you enjoyed the most?
It's been crazy. You know what? I have to tell you, I got here. Henry Gruber's like my heart. Like I just love that man. I grew up watching David Wilkerson in my TV, in my black and white TV as a little girl. So he reminds me a lot of David, and they're best friends. And we met him at True Legends. And so to meet him when we first got here, I'm like, I am so satisfied. I could just go home so happy now. You know, I just feel like everything had happened. And I was just like, wow, this was, because I had asked God for confirmation about my book. I said, God, will you send somebody to me that will confirm that I'm on the right path? And here comes Henry. You know, we stopped, we talked to him, and I start telling him, and he's like, oh yeah, you need to read my book. It's going to like kind of flow into your book. And yeah, and he was just confirming things for me. And I was just like, I cannot believe that. I was so shocked. He is such a special man that I mean, what an honor and a privilege to just even get to talk to him, you know, and just a blessing. He's just so full of Jesus, and you just look in his eyes and they're so beautiful, and just, he's just, I'm sorry, I just love the man. I'm like, oh, so close to my heart. Like, but I think the speaker that I was really surprised about was Michael, but is it
Bodea?
Okay, I didn't know him at all. I didn't know who he was.
He is, and I just learned this too, and it was a trip, is that his grandfather was Dimitri Dudamus, and he was the Romanian guy who smuggled Bibles, over 300,000 Bibles into Romania, and so I was interviewing him, and he kept talking about his grandfather. And I was like, what was your grandfather's name? Oh, Dimitri Dudamus. I go, no kidding. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Trip.
Wow. Talk about blessings.
Yeah. I was like, okay, wow, man.
Yeah.
And then after the interview, I was saying, like, dude, I really didn't know this, and what an honor and everything. So, but yeah,
he was preaching so close to what God has shown me. I literally almost fell out of my chair. I think it was just I was just in shock. I almost had to get up and leave because I thought, I don't want anybody to influence what God is telling me, because it was literally so close. But the way he was saying it was just so, the way he delivered the message, I thought, man, I hope I deliver a message like that one day. And then Michael Lake's the same way. Michael Lake is very much in sync with me. As a matter of fact, I have to really filter. I have to ask Terrence, I'm like, can you filter the message before you send it to me? Because I don't want to influence, because I get so much discernment listening to him. It's crazy. Him and Mary, I don't know what it is. And, you know, and then Josh Tolley caught me off guard too today. Man, I mean, is it Josh Tolley? Yeah. Yep. That spoke. Wow. I mean, I never really followed him like that, but I'm like, man, he brought down the house. Yeah. You know what? He preached a message the church needs to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and I'm anxious to hear you speak. And Russ Dizdar, man, it's just been amazing. Russ Dizdar, wow. I mean, that's a hard message to sit through and know what's really going on in the world. Yeah. And the church has no idea.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So, well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a lot of fun. When is your book coming out? I'm going to nail you to the wall.
And everybody keeps telling me that. Asking me that. I have no idea.
You need to set a goal.
I know.
Because until you set a goal, it's just a dream.
That's so much pressure, you know. Yeah. Mike asked me the same question. I don't know. I would like to.
Is it written?
It's probably halfway through. Okay. You know, but my problem is I am so biblically obsessed that I'm constantly stopping and looking for scriptures, and it keeps me from writing sometimes, because I'm like, oh, I got to stop. I got to find proof of this. I got to find, you know, biblical support, because I don't want to get eaten alive on social media, you know, or even just I'm going to get eaten alive.
You're going to get eaten alive anyway, so who cares? You don't care about the bozos. Yeah. They're going to be bozos anyways, so who cares? You preach to those who have an ear to hear. Right. And those who have an ear to hear will love your book. Right. So what you just need to do is, the longer that you delay, the more that they are going to suffer, in a sense. Wow. Your message, your book is a message to the people out there that you need to reach, and only you can reach them. Wow. But until you get that message out there, these people are going to be floundering and suffering and going through whatever they're going through until they finally crack your book open and they go, oh my goodness, there it is.
Well, you know, people don't realize, I remember when God showed me that the fallen angels, you know, mated with women, they spread their seed, And that hybrid, when they were killed in the flood, they died, but their spirits lived on, and their spirits roam the earth looking for sin to enter. And people don't realize that their sin keeps those demons alive. And when I realized that, I was so just humbled before God, just trembling, because I was like, I'm so sorry. You don't realize that you're keeping the evil in this world alive. And it's a hard message to tell people, I'm so sorry, but you're leaving these windows open. You've got to shut them. And it gives the enemy power over your life. And then they're like, and I've heard this a lot. I have to share a story with you. This just blew my mind today. So I told Terrence, the enemy was just whispering in my ear yesterday. I had this interview with Mike today. And then he's like, you know what? Nobody wants to hear your book. You're nobody. Nobody cares what you have to say. I'm just like, he's just whispering in my ear. And I'm like, shut up. You're a liar. I'm just like, I can't stand it, And I'm kind of where I just put him in his place. And because I used to fear him and that authority, I love that power. And so I told Terrence, I said, I just feel so beat down today. And even when we walked in, the heaviness in the room, and it was because of Russ last night, I'm sure, that the enemy's attacking. And I literally was trying to catch Mike. I was going to do the interview, and this police officer standing up against the wall. And I missed Mike. Mike kind of passed me by to go talk to somebody else. And the guy stops me to talk to me. He's like, hey, where you going? What are you doing? And super nice guy. We start talking. He doesn't know Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, you don't know Jesus? Like, he's just so interested in me. And he just stood there and he just talked to me. And he said, I see a lot of children who are hurt. And it's really hard for me. He goes, how do you justify a God who hurts children? And I said, you know what? I said, I was abused. I grew up with a dad who had PTSD. My story's a lot like Bart Millard's from Mercy Me. I grew up in an abused home. The demons attacked me my whole life. But you know what? God restored that relationship. And God restored me, and he restored my dad. And it's been the most beautiful thing. He goes, wow. He goes, really? I go, I was brought up in a house where you didn't go to church. I rode the church bus at 4 years old by myself. But he was just so interested in God. And it was like, it was like, listen, this is how you accept Jesus if you get ready to do this, And I just felt like he wasn't ready at that time. But he had some questions, and he's like, you people are so nice. But, I just felt like it was a God thing. And I got in the car, and I'm telling Terrence this, and Terrence goes, I go, I was really nervous about this interview. I wanted to get it done, and just feel like I had done something for the day. And Terrence goes, you realize that God just used him to show you that somebody wants to hear what you have to say. And I said, wow, I didn't even realize that. God used him and blessed me in the process of me sharing Jesus with him. So God works that way. And it's just, we serve a great God, and all glory is his, but I believe that God, I have to know that this book is so anointed that it's going to really, really impact people's lives. And I hope and pray that's my prayer, is that they come out of their brokenness and seek the Lord, So
awesome.
I'm sorry, I'm talking your ear.
No. This is awesome.
It's just so nice to talk to people about the book, because I don't really talk about it much.
Yeah. Well, it's joy. I'm going to be tracking it and keeping an eye on you and Facebooking. Hey, Jen, where's the book? Come on, get off it.
I say end of summer, and that's going to be latest, because I've got to get this thing out. It's driving me crazy. I want it out. I'm ready. You're right. I've got to put some urgency on it. So, and the message, and that's the thing is, when God started talking to me, and I was so broken about the church being backslidden, I kept hearing the word urgent. It's urgent. I feel like we're a lot later in the game than people think we are. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, big time.
So it's getting close.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, folks, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this segment of PZTV. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I want you to do me a favor, folks. You see that little red subscribe button? Click that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up and hit that little bell so that you know when next time I put out a video, you'll get messaged. Thank you again for taking the time. Goodbye, God bless, and Maranatha.
Yes.